Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of the Wholesome Half Hour. As per usual, it is me and Siren, and today what we're going to be talking about is maximising your study season to make sure that you're in the best position possible for your end of year exams.
Yep, it is time for most of us, or some of us on study leave already, and if we're not, most of us will be going on study leave next week. So now's really the time to, you have that little window between like getting off school and before like you actually have to sit the exams.
Yeah.
And this is the window to kind of like, make sure everything is ready, make sure everything is in position to like make sure the exam season goes well, goes smoothly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think for a lot of people as well, 1 week for study leave usually doesn't feel like it's enough. I know a lot of people kind of feel like they need a couple of weeks to get ready before diving into the first exam. And this can be like really stressful for a lot of people, but I think as well it's important to bear in mind that, over the past few weeks in class, if your teacher is kind, then you really only should have been doing like revision in these past couple of weeks.
Theoretically.
Term 4 is no time for internals. Doing internals in term 4 is stupid.
Yeah, occasionally.
I don't apologise for saying that. Occasionally you will have to do them.
Occasionally you also get the external standard that was like you've left till the very end and it drags on a little bit.
Yeah, so you might still be going through a little bit of new content.
But hopefully that's really wrapping up by now.
Yeah, and if not, then I hope it's just a late exam and you got longer to study for it.
Yeah, I guess if it is wrapping up and you're like having time in class to revise at the moment, it's definitely worth making the most of that time that you're like literally given. Like you literally have to be in that class. Or you are going to end up in that class and sit there for 45 minutes, 50 minutes, however long it is. It's definitely worth using that time effectively rather than, I know if you're year 13 especially, good to, have some last bads with these guys that you probably won't see again. But
oh, that was dark.
It wasn't meant to be dark, it's just I don't know.
But yeah.
But
it feels very fleeting.
Yeah, but definitely you have to be in the class, so definitely use the time as you see appropriately.
Yeah, and I'm sure you guys have heard it from us, multiple times now, but you can get more done in class than you think you can. It's just the amount of time you decide that you want to play silly buggers with your mates.
Even if you only focus for half an hour, if that's 25 minutes more than you would have otherwise, that's 25 minutes more work. Right?
Yeah, definitely. And it's in those last sort of couple days of school, it's a really good idea to be, asking, any last questions to teachers and stuff like that, like anything that you may be unsure of.
Now.
Yeah, then, trying to get to your own revision later on and being like, oh, well, I have no clue what this is, and, sometimes just having it come from a teacher or just another human having something explained to you can be a lot easier than a 5-minute discussion as opposed to half an hour trying to trawl the internet for the right answer.
It's definitely teachers can explain stuff to you in 5 minutes that you'd actually spend an hour trying to learn elsewhere, because I don't know, when you Google it, you don't know exactly what to Google, you don't know exactly what you need to know. The first 4 videos you find are about the topic but not exactly about what you want.
Yeah.
But if you ask your teacher, or even if you ask one of your friends if they're studying the same thing as you and they know they know what you need to know straight away. And it's definitely worthwhile using those resources while they're still easily available to you.
Yeah, definitely. So that's just, with your last few days of school. But going into the study week, I guess, what are some of the things that you really recommend?
I reckon if you need to, I don't know, after you finish school or after you finish classes for the year, if you need to take 2 days to kind of just reset and just take a break, go for it, do that, it's worth it. But I would recommend soon, so if it's the Wednesday, 2 days or 3 days into your study break, I'd really recommend
Keep going. I'm just gonna
adapting some sort of routine, just because I'd really recommend adapting a routine, because otherwise what can happen is, you spilled the coffee again. I didn't realise while you were leaving. I'm like, this is kind of weird. At least it's you this week and not me.
Yeah.
But it's very, I don't know, I find for me, like if the clock ticks over to 11 a.m, 12 p.m, and I haven't done any study, I find it very like demotivating, and I find it very hard from that point to catapult into doing study.
Yeah.
So like, I find definitely having some sort of, because remember, like during the school year, 200 days a year or whatever it is, like you go to school, like you automatically just go to school in the morning and like you study for, like some percentage of 6 hours.
Yeah.
Whereas when you have study leave, you're like, oh, I can use all this time to myself. But like, I don't know, I find if you get to like 12 o'clock, 1 p.m. and you still haven't started studying, the motivation to start like as the day goes on really diminishes. So I'd really recommend waking up in the morning, and then almost like if you want to wake up, like half an hour later, then you go to school. Like that's all good. But I definitely consider waking up at a consistent time with an alarm, and then kind of like almost like getting ready as normal, like breakfast, etc. And if you're going to study at home, like start studying like kind of within an hour of waking up, or if you're going to go to school or library or something like that. I definitely recommend like starting your day with a study, and then you do your work, and if you start at 9 o'clock, by like if you focus, take lots of breaks and stuff, but like if you're focused, by like 1, 2 o'clock, like that's plenty of study for the day. Done. You have the whole afternoon, evening, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with that.
Conscious.
I know there are some people who do prefer to work at night and stuff like that.
If you feel comfort like working at night and you're capable of it, that's fine. But if you're like the kind of person where it's going to just dwell over you all day, like I have to study.
Yeah.
Like it is often worth just getting it over and done with.
No, I agree. And I think it's the biggest distinction to make is this week of study before going into exams isn't holiday, it's study break. And I think for a lot of students, and I think I very much included in this when I say NCEA, it's not school, so it's very easy for your mind to just switch to so it's holiday.
Holiday,
watch
Netflix all. I remember, watch Netflix all day.
Yeah, and I think
bike ride. I don't know.
Yeah, cheeky onzo. Yeah. But I think that the important thing is to acknowledge and to bear in mind that it's not an extra week of holiday. It is like a study leave break where you should be like really like getting ready for exams. And I think that allowing yourself to treat it as a holiday, allowing yourself to sleep in until 1, and then spending the rest of the day on Netflix, like we wish everyone the best in their exams, but you can't have sympathy for someone who doesn't try or put any effort for something. And I think if you aren't going to be putting in the work earlier and you haven't, then you can't blame anyone at the end of the year if you're not happy with your results. And I think that's something to bear in mind as well, is it is a long-term gain that you're going after here by studying early, and it's important to bear that in mind because it's so easy for us to only focus on the short term, I think, and only think about what you want to do in that very moment. Us humans, us hedonistic creatures that we are. But like, very much try to bear in mind that it is a long-term thing that you're working towards right now. And I think it's one of those things as well that if you're the person who's like inclined to, see your results on January the 7th and at 5 a.m. and be like, oh, I'm so gutted about this. Like, if only.
Come out till like 9 a.m. Did I come out at 5?
No, midnight.
Oh, really?
And then the site crashes. Yeah, it's a tradition.
I obviously wasn't significantly eager to see my results.
I don't think I checked my results until like 2-3 weeks after. I just did not care. But yeah, I think it's, if you're someone who would kick yourself later on, like do that work now and save that kind of, I guess, like irritation later on, or acknowledge that later on in the year, if you are disappointed in yourself, you can't put it on other people. Like, sometimes some exams are harder than others, but if you have consistently gotten marks that you're not happy with across all your subjects, that's more indicative of your own performance than anyone else's. I'm very sorry.
I definitely believe, like, this time of the year, more than ever, you are very likely to see very direct dividends off the work that you put in. Like, if you put in like work, like if you study for stuff now, like for starters, like your like memory retention, like you only have to remember this stuff for like 2 weeks, like you're very likely to like retain it right up till the exam if you like do some proper, if you like follow some like study best practices, some like good study techniques, which we'll talk about shortly. And it's definitely like you will see, this morning a couple of days ago I was revising for one of my university exams, and I like opened up the revision PowerPoint that the lecturer gave us, and it was 120 slides and dead slides, and I'm like, oh man.
They weren't pictures either.
No, there are 0 pictures in these slides. They're just bullet points and bullet points and bullet points that go on. But I kind of like took a step back and like over the
oh my god, I need to stop yawning.
I think on Friday and today, I revised the first 3 lectures. So that's a quarter of this 120-page slides. And I just like, I did some mind maps and I made some flashcards. And I kind of got to the end this morning and I'm like, I'm not going to remember this. But I made the flashcards this morning. So later this morning, I went through the flashcards and I'm like, actually like, I can still recall about 2/3 of this. And that's just off like, that's literally like I've only studied for this exam like twice so far. So like, and if you continue to do that like right up till your exam, you'll be like, A, you can get through a lot, and B, like you will retain a lot of it as well.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think that's like flashcards kind of do like a double deal. If we're just going to talk about that for a moment, and where you can write down all your key concepts and kind of organise everything in that manner, but it is also a very good marker of actually how much you are remembering.
Yeah.
Because you can very easily go through a bunch of flashcards, test yourself, put the ones you don't know to one side, practice them again and keep going until you've like got all of them. And then doing it again later or doing it again the next morning or, every 2 days or something like, depending on how close to your exam you are, like just regularly doing that with flashcards is a very quick and easy way of retaining that information. Yeah,
if you get a set of flashcards and you put the stuff you look at it, think about it in your head, turn it around, did you get it right or wrong? If you put the correct ones in one pile and the wrong ones in another pile, if you just if you want to like test the correct ones like once a day or once every few days, and the stuff you're getting wrong, like even later throughout that day, like if you do it, another 3 or 4 times, it only takes like a couple minutes to go through a set of flashcards.
Exactly.
Like you'd be surprised. You can like even like a set of like 30 or 40 cards, you can kind of memorize the whole thing. Like if you do it like 5 or 6 times in a day, that only takes like 20 minutes across a day. Like you'd be able to remember most of it like in a single day.
Yeah.
And flashcards are a really good tool for remembering your core definitions.
Yeah.
Quotes, stuff like that.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think flashcards are quite underrated. I think that it's something that most students are aware of. They know how flashcards work and stuff like that, but quite often, or they know the idea of flashcards, I should say.
Yeah.
But quite often students say, oh, I don't like flashcards, they don't work for me. And it's like, well, how have you been using them? And it's like, if you're going to just run through them, like literally read them, once a day or like when you make them and then like the day before the exam, of course you're not going to work as well. But that's not because of the flashcards, it's the way in which you're utilising it. If you're going through it and you're saying, I'm going to organise it into what I know and what I don't know, and I want to regularly practice the ones that I don't know, then that's like really good. And I think something as well with flashcards is not putting too much information on them.
Yeah.
If you're too lazy to make flashcards, you can buy like a stack of like system cards from the warehouse stationery.
I'm sure they have the warehouse stationery. They have them at Wood Coles as well.
Yeah, most stationery places do them. They're like really, really good. I've got a ton of them. Sarah's got a lot of
System
them.
cards.
System cards. And it's basically just like cue cards that you can just write on and you don't have to cut them out.
Don't have to
like
cut
they're
them
nice,
out.
like
You can just write on them. It's
nice cardy type
thick
paper.
Card, high qual.
Yeah, they're really good. Really quick, real easy to make. So, if you don't care about how like pretty it looks or anything like that, literally just slap some stuff on those cards. Like it's so easy. You don't have to laboriously, cut out 100 bits of paper and decorate them and then laminate them or anything like that. You really don't. Like it can be that simple.
Yeah. These took me like 2 minutes to buy, and then like you can just like go through them and write on them real easy. Nice high qual card.
Yeah, and I think and with flashcards as well is not putting too much information on them, or understanding that the function of flashcards is for things like key definitions or like bullet points or something like that.
Yeah, and being specific with the front side of the card.
Yeah.
So I don't a lot of these things are lists of things. So I'll often say things like three, what are the three brand mantra modifiers? Like what are the three things that are modifiers for that, and then 3 bullet points.
Yeah. And if you're studying for something like an essay type subject where you're going to be writing and you have to remember key dates and stuff like that, you might have on one side, what year did so-and-so event occur? Why was so-and-so the most significant, or why was it the least significant? Potentially having like a flashcard with like the important key words, like long-term, short-term, this triggered this was a consequence of, this was, and all those kind of like really like kind of linky, buzzwordy kind of stuff is a really good way as well. And you could have like a set of flashcards for each unit. You could have a set of flashcards for like definitions in a unit, and then like you can even other stuff in a unit. Like it's very, very flexible.
You can even do them for subjects where the different types of questions that you're going to get in an exam.
Yeah, continue.
You can make flashcards being in chemistry. I'm really going to muck this up because I haven't done chemistry in a while. But when these two things react, what kind of reaction is it?
Yeah.
You can have types of questions on one, and then on the other side you can have the answers.
Yep.
That's a very easy, or that's a very good way to, especially chemistry, instead of trying to memorize a flow chart, just trying to recognize them on a reaction by reaction level.
Yeah.
I've got a good video on that coming out soon.
Oh, that's very exciting.
That's the only reason I can recall how chemistry works.
That's very fun.
Because I spent hours.
And I think just if we're going to talk about chemistry again for a moment, for organic chem, obviously there is a big reaction table, which I think might be what you are kind of getting at.
There's we have a colleague who's doing his PhD in chemistry, and he gets rid of the flow chart and explains it. He has a 4-step process that doesn't involve the flow chart to work out what it is or something. Yeah,
Fraser is revolutionary.
Watch the level 2 and or level 3 organic revenue. Yeah, organics video. It will go up next week or the week after. It will go up a week before the exam. Fraser is a genius.
Fraser is, genuinely a genius.
I'm pretty sure I learned more filming a video with him once than I learned in the whole of high school chemistry, so would recommend a watch.
Yeah, so that's kind of flashcards. We kind of went off on a tangent.
Buy yourself a Fraser.
Buy yourself a Fraser.
That's the answer to all your problems.
Always, source a Fraser, wherever you can get them, or leading realtors.
Source a Jordan if you study English.
Yeah.
We sell Jordans now. StudyTime.co.nz/store. Buy yourself a Jordan.
Oof. No thanks.
He will teach you everything.
I don't want him to teach me anything.
In classics.
Okay.
I don't think he really teaches anything else, to be honest. Yeah. You can grade along.
Okay. I guess other techniques and stuff, because we haven't really talked about flashcards. There are heaps and heaps of other techniques as well. And I think for a lot of times students have a bit of a dilemma when coming to studying. It's, I don't know how to study and I don't know what to study.
Shall we quickly go over what study techniques you shouldn't use?
Yeah, don't highlight.
Highlighting, useless. Rereading notes, useless. Literally you're just information is going in one ear and one eye, and then it's just going out. You're not gonna memorize stuff that's just written on a page. Yeah,
to put it in perspective, it's got to do with levels of processing, kind of. And so reading is quite a shallow form of processing. It's kind of in one ear and out the other. And to fully understand something just by reading it, you would have to read it 10 times over. Word for word 10 times over, which is A, not efficient, B, boring as hell, and C, why would you do that when there are better techniques out there? So things like simply just highlighting or just reading your notes or anything where you don't really actually have to engage with the content. You can have your eyes travel down the page and somehow that means something.
Yeah.
Be
if
very
the process
aware.
of studying is too similar to watching TV
Yeah.
Like it's a very passive, like reading's a very passive activity.
Yeah, or if it feels like you're organising more than you're actually studying your stuff, do you know what I mean? Like, you know, you can put in as much, you know, coloured post-it notes and stuff as you want, but, you know, having everything all organised all nicely is going to, like, yeah, it'll look really nice, but you're not going to be able to take that into the exam with you. You need to be able to actually transfer the information that everything is.
Be able to recall it on demand.
Yeah. So the ways that you do want to be studying is ways that you're engaging with the content, ways that you are, engaging with the content and making sure that what you're doing is you are responding to it and you are able to explain it. So flashcards is, you know, you're going to be engaging with the content, creating things like cheat sheets,
mind maps,
flow charts, creating, you know, like summary sheets and all that kind of thing is a way where your teachers always say it to you, put it in your own words. And you should really do this. As tedious as it is and as easy as it is just to copy what a book has already told you, you're not going to remember that. And you're also not going to be able to transfer that into an exam. If you've had practice writing out a concept, you're going to find it's much easier to explain it again in an exam situation versus doing it for the first time because you've only ever read what someone else has written.
Yeah. If you can, consume the information and then actually do something with it in your mind and then if you can summarize a couple 2 or 3 lessons into a single page, something like that, you're taking the information, you're condensing it, you're doing something with it that requires active thinking, and then you can put it on flashcards, put it on a summary sheet, make a flowchart, whatever.
And I think when it comes to making study stuff as well, this is something that I did, it was something that I knew other people did a lot, and this is based on whether or not what your parents' tolerance is for this kind of thing. I always made summary sheets and put them up around the house, on the back of the toilet door.
I've heard this,
I genuinely did that, and you see it everywhere. I think my whole family learned a lot about carbon chemistry because that's all they had to read on the toilet for a month. And that kind of stuff is if your parents don't mind you doing it, it's kind of also just a bit funny at the same time, just having all this random stuff around the house.
I will do, when I get, if I'm using something like a summary sheet or flashcards, and there's always those last 4 things that you just aren't remembering. I will often do something one thing I'll do is sometimes I'll keep those 4 flashcards that I keep forgetting in my pocket next to my phone, and every time I want to look at my phone I have to go through the flashcards first, or I'll put a reminder on my phone just to see it and throughout the day remind myself these are the last couple of things that I need to memorize.
I think just I feel like this whole episode has just been Sarah and Mackenzie talks about flashcards, but one more thing about flashcards is you can actually get I know Kmart sold them for a little bit, I don't know. The weird and wonderful world of Kmart is, but you can get you can kind of get cue card, flashcard type things, and what they're on is a ring. So you've got a whole lot of them on a ring, and so they're kind of really easy to travel with, and so you can do things just flick through them on the bus, anything like that. It's so something as small as that you can just take with you, and because it only takes 5 minutes to go through, every little bit adds up. If you spend 5 minutes a day on the bus going through your flashcards, it saves you 5 minutes at night where you have to do it. And that kind of stuff does really build up over time.
Absolutely, yeah. As Mackenzie said, if you're doing it on the bus, 5 minutes on the way in, on the way out, 10 minutes a day, that's an hour a week.
Yeah.
Just like that, doing flashcards.
I think a bit of a fallacy around studying is a lot of students feel like they need to allocate a big block of time. And while this can be really good if you're planning on a big study stint or something like that, of course with that you have to be careful that you are making sure that you are still engaging with the content, so trying things like Pomodoro and time blocking and all that kind of stuff can be useful. But do what you can where you can as well, and it definitely does add up. If you think, I'm just on the bus, rather than going for an aimless scroll or watching something on YouTube, just go through your flashcards. It's very, very simple. Very. And
also quality definitely matters. If you are doing 3, even if it's literally 3 or 4 30-minute focus blocks.
Yeah.
That's like way more effective than like, you know, going to the library for 6 hours, but actually, you know, 5 hours you're like yarning with your mates, and the other half hour you're like on your phone half the time.
Yeah.
Like if you can like, like the quality like definitely matters, and like, there's no, if you are doing like, especially if you're doing quality study, there's no need to be like at the library from like 9 to 5. Like that's not a necessary thing.
Yeah, I think that's a bit of a thing as well, is you don't have to make it like your entire, like what would be your school time or anything like that. You do what is like appropriate for you. But in this, be real with yourself. Like don't think, oh, you know, excuse me, I tend to pick up on things naturally, so I'm going to spend less time on it. And like, you know, while that can be a thing for some people, you don't want to be aware that you could be making excuses for yourself into doing less study and trying to justify it in some way. If you don't want to study, nobody can force you to do it. At the end of the day, you're your own autonomous creature, but you have to, like I said before, live with the decisions that you make when it comes to that.
Yeah, some objective ways to look at whether you're making progress on a particular subject, like look at the checklist, studytime.co.nz/guides. At the top of each page we have a checklist, and it covers everything you need to know for a particular standard. So one way, instead of being like, I want to like work on level 1 science for an hour, instead being like, I want to like learn how these 3 things work. If you're doing that, and like it's an like in an hour anything can happen. Heaps can happen in an hour, or very little can happen in an hour.
Yeah, it's
but
crazy.
Like, if you go through these 3 things and you can tick them off and be like, I properly understand these 3 things now. Those are 3 things you understand. It's a much more objective metric.
Yeah, definitely. I know you wanted to have a bit of a yarn about motivation.
Oh yeah. So like, I don't know, I definitely, like I talked about it earlier, but like for me, like if it gets to like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, and like I have like the motivation to study like drops a lot. And I know there's some like tricks that I've kind of like, I've heard and like learned over the years that can kind of like get you like motivated quickly. So one thing, this is a really, I don't know, it sounds like a weird thing, and it's the thing that I want to do. A lot of this advice comes from a video, if you want to watch it, by Thomas Frank. Just search like Thomas Frank, no motivation, you'll find it. This is the one that like he says like he hates doing. I definitely hate doing, and it's the hardest one to convince yourself to do because it seems like a waste of time. But just like go for a walk for 10 minutes. Like leave your house, leave the library, literally just go for a walk for 10 minutes. It's really weird. It's really hard to convince yourself to do when you're like, I haven't studied all day, so let's go for a walk for 10 minutes.
Let's justify that.
Just do it. And you'd be surprised at, I don't know, it's just like, there's some like, it just like clears your mind a little bit, and it's like a little bit of a reset. And then when you come back, select one thing. Like don't try to make a massive list or anything. Select one thing that you want to do. So say, I want to do this, the level 1 science genetics. Is that a thing, a level 1
It
science?
is.
Level 1 science genetics, 2017 past paper. That's what I want to work on. I'm going to work on it for half an hour. So one single straightforward goal. And then just try to do that one thing. And the other thing is you can also do something what Thomas calls the low effort hack, which is so like in the science exam, like you're going through the questions, and if there's like 1 or 2 questions that you're not sure of, like don't try to like do them, just be like, just put an asterisk beside them and go past them. And by doing that, by creating that like one single goal, you make the idea of studying, and one single goal for half an hour, you make the idea of studying much less daunting. And also by doing the low effort thing, you're less likely to be demotivated because you're like kind of constantly making progress. And once you reach the end of that half hour or like 25 minutes, you'll often find like you're in a much better like headspace, and you like you more often than not want to keep going.
Yeah, definitely. I think it's like a lot of things in life that you know are good for you, but there has been this big society build up that it's not fun, like going to the gym, like studying, like I don't know, cleaning your house. It's the things that you know like you really should do, like you kind of
And they often seem like very high stakes activities.
Yeah, one of my flatmates, her motto is the hardest thing about going to the gym is putting your shoes on.
Oh, it totally is.
And like that's just like studying as well. You could think, you know, the hardest thing about studying is sitting down at your desk. Like once you're there, it's not that bad. It's you do like find a momentum and you want to keep going, and by like what you were saying before, like just if I can add to it a wee bit, is just set yourself a small task, like one small thing to achieve. That's easily done, and then what that's going to do is it's going to give our hedonistic brains a good old shot of dopamine because we got that good old accomplishment thing, and we just feel a lot better. We feel like we got something done, and we're more prepared to tackle the next thing rather than just stop there. And yeah, I think that's one of the best things that like we can really encourage you to do is just start with one thing, just one thing at a time.
Other ways to get some dopamine in your system include exercise, doing like really like small amounts of exercise. Like,
not too much because then you get the cortisol bump.
Yeah. Like 10 minutes of, like, oh, not 10 minutes.
10 minute walk.
10 minutes, no. 10 minutes of push-ups is what I was going to say.
10-minute walk.
10 push-ups, not 10 minutes of push-ups. Or like cold showers, like one of the other
Send us in your videos of you 10 minutes of just straight push-ups.
Gee, oh man, I'm sure there is someone who can do that.
Sharon will send you something. I don't know what it'll be, but
I hope not. It will not be me doing push-ups for 10 minutes. It'll be me doing push-ups for 10 seconds.
That's very fun. Just on the exercise thing, there's this fine balance between when you start exercising, you get like a little bit of dopamine and you feel like really good, you got the endorphins going and all that fun stuff, and then really, really high exercise begins to release cortisol, which is the kind of like, you can call it like a stress hormone. What it does is it runs through your body and it gives you a lot of things associated with anxiety. So it can make you start sweating, it can make you feel like uncomfortable and a bit nauseous and stuff like that. And I'm not saying cortisol does this to everyone, I'm just saying in really, really high amounts.
There's an earthquake, and hopefully that is the end of the earthquake.
It's still gone.
I think we're okay.
I can still feel it a wee bit, but...
Yeah, I can as well. This building's supposedly quite safe, so I've been told.
Wow, we're testing that out.
No, it is going.
Oh, it's still going.
Do we... No? I do not like this.
Oh my god, it's still going. I can hear everyone else being like, what the hell?
It's still going. You can see like the lights are like, the light is like, oh, that's not the right camera. Oh, it's kind of stopped now, but the light was like moving a little bit. Oh, you can see like the cable is like shaking.
Yeah.
I don't know if you could see anything in the background, but oh, that's fun.
So anyone in Wellington who also felt the earthquake, you know exactly when we filmed this. What was I saying?
I don't know, the earthquake was quite distracting.
Yeah, thank you.
I want to see how big the earthquake was now.
Yeah. Are you going on?
I was going to try like find the old GeoNet.
GeoNet?
Yeah.
While you do that, I'm going to finish up my yarn.
Yeah, that would be good.
Do what you can, and start with one thing at a time. And I think the thing is as well, if you do have a day where you don't get anything done and you had intended to do stuff.
5.6 or 5.8, 20 kilometres southwest of
Taumaranui.
Yeah, 165 deep. Interesting. That was definitely a strong earthquake. Yeah, a lot of people are saying it's strong as well. Anyway,
cool.
That was an interesting experience.
That was fun.
Moving right along, because I realise now like nothing happened in the last 2 minutes of this video.
So I think if you ever have a day where you don't get as much done as you had intended, try not to let this get to you too much. I think something as well is we can beat ourselves up quite a bit for setting quite often unrealistic goals. not being able to meet them, and then being disappointed at ourselves for not being able to reach what was really an unattainable goal. So first way to try to tackle this is take things one at a time. Don't, set yourself like a ginormous list of things to do all the time. And if you do, fall off the horse, or, you have a day or something comes up, life happens, you're never going to be able to always have absolutely everything to plan. Don't beat yourself up about it. Try again the next day, try again later that day, but don't let it kind of ruin, don't let it ruin the future. Possible. Yeah.
I know, it's definitely very easy to be like, I haven't studied, the exam's tomorrow, it's not worth studying now.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it is worth studying now. There's always sure, it would have been cool if you started a few days ago, but there's still gains to be made.
Yeah. 100%.
Even if you just start right now, no matter what happened for the past weeks, 3 days, whatever.
Yeah. Just to round off the show, we're going to answer some questions.
Sure.
We only had 2 this week that we kind of got from our DMs.
Yeah.
One was from Vinny, and I think it was Vinny's, but I think it's just Vinny. Anyway, asked about, does writing help you study more effectively? And again, this goes back to the levels of processing type thing, where reading your notes is very shallow. Writing out notes is a little bit more engaging. Writing is better than typing.
We have a video on that as well.
Yeah, if you want to type all your notes, I would recommend giving writing a go, or really try to make sure that the things that you are writing is in your own words. So if the maximum sort of best thing that you could do here is writing in your own words. So typing while you're copying notes from a lecture slide or something like that is not going to be super useful. Writing is a little bit better, but yeah, try to write in your own words.
One of the biggest issues with typing is, for most people, it's literally too easy to type.
Yeah,
you can kind of just have words come in one ear, and type them out.
Yeah.
When you're handwriting, it takes longer, it takes more effort, so you're more you do condense things.
Yeah.
And also research shows even people who are aware of the issues with typing, still not as good as handwriting.
Yeah. So writing is
even though
definitely
it requires some effort. It's
I know I can type without looking.
Yeah. I can type.
I can type on my laptop while watching TV. Do you know what I mean? So it's obviously not going to be something that my brain has to engage with hugely. Whereas
just think about it. You can I don't know. Most people can I can type on my phone while walking down the street and
yeah. Think about how easy that is, and think about am I actually going to retain it?
Could you handwrite heaps of stuff while walking down the street?
Exactly. And the next one came from Nate was, I'm going to make it a little bit more general, I guess, but the direct question was about studying with dyspraxia, which for anyone that isn't quite sure, it's it's a neurological condition where those who are affected can be a little bit more so with their motor skills, and there's a few different things that it can affect. So because dyspraxia is so far-reaching, broad, I should say, I sort of thought we could just give our thoughts on studying with, I guess, disabilities in general.
Yeah.
And kind of what your recommendations would be.
Yeah.
I'm happy to start, and you can think about it for a bit. So for anyone that is studying and they do have a bit of a disability, whether that be something like dyslexia, dyspraxia, ADHD, and heaps and heaps of other stuff. What you should be doing is trying a lot of different techniques, because you're going to find that some work really well and some work not at all. And while this is quite true for everyone, it's not. It's a little bit more selective, I should say. So, and being aware of your exact disability, is it? Yeah. Being aware of where you struggle with and tailoring techniques to deal with that. So, say for example, you do have a bit of ADHD. You struggle with a bit of ADHD, and you're trying to do something like long-term studying. use something like the Pomodoro technique, but rather than study for 25 minutes, do 10 to 15, or as long as you can when you're still actively engaging with the content. And then take a break and then do that chunk again. So what you're doing is you're just adjusting a technique so that it suits you better.
Yeah.
And, you know, for things like if you struggle with writing, maybe try to do things a bit more visually or orally instead. You know, if you can discuss things with people, then that's usually a lot better. And I think also bear in mind the way that you're taking the exam. So quite often, I know, for example, with dyslexia, one of my students has actually got someone else who's writing for them in the exam.
If you have a reader writer, practice, even if you don't find someone to write your exam out for you, practice recording yourself. So you practice what the actual situation is like with an exam. So if you have a reader writer, practice writing an essay where maybe you use the voice recorder on your phone and you just treat it like an exam, and as you would if there was a reader writer, but practicing in that the mode of the exam.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, whether this be you could have. You could ask your parents to read out some of the questions for you, or you could record yourself reading it out and then have it play back to you. And if you do struggle with writing on your own, then potentially, doing some recordings where you're explaining stuff and discussing it, and you can listen back to it instead, might be something that you would find really useful, or using videos instead. Play to your strengths, be aware of the things that you do challenge you, and I guess find techniques that you can either adjust or are specifically designed or set up in a way to sort of work around those with disabilities, because I know a lot of students do really struggle with it, and it's something that quite often we don't deal with, and it's something that I know us here at StudyTime, we are definitely working towards making resources for those who are struggling with disabilities in the education, because obviously this presents a huge challenge to a lot of people, and it doesn't represent how intelligent someone is.
Yeah. If I was to add a couple of things more, looking at the different study techniques at the end of a day of study or a few hours of study, just taking a step back for a moment and reviewing, thinking about what went well, what didn't go well, and trying to adapt that. If you realise first hour went really well, but the second hour didn't go so well, maybe trying to limit yourself to shorter blocks of study, just reviewing what went well, what didn't go well, and trying to make a decision against that of what's the best thing to do for you. The other thing I wanted to say is that these days there's a wealth of knowledge about all of this stuff online. Just Googling best way to study with dyslexia, best way to study with ADHD, Google, YouTube, you will find a ton of people who are not only talking about what it, you will find a ton of people who are literally in your situation, or a couple of years ahead of you, and are able to share their wealth of knowledge, what their experience is like, and that is definitely a resource you should tap into.
Yeah, and I think just a final thought, I guess, on it is, exactly like I said before, going through school and you do have a disability, it is not at all representative of your capacity for intelligence or how intelligent you are. Quite often it means that you might have to change the way that you study or something like that. And I think also just being aware of that is really good as well, because I think quite often a lot of people just resign themselves. I had a friend all throughout high school, everyone joked about him just being a little bit stupid, which is It was funny. He was good for it. Just by the way, he learned in year 13. He was very, very dyslexic, and nobody realized. And so everyone was this explains so much. And he is actually very, very brilliant, very smart. And everyone for so long was just oh, you're just a little bit dumb. But that wasn't the case. He was a good sport about it. He definitely joined in the banter with it and stuff. But I think if you feel you are really struggling with something more than you think most people do, it's also okay to potentially put that out there and see if you can get tested for something, because I think as well a lot of people struggle in silence because they do put it down to, oh, I'm just not smart.
Yeah, if you're having, it is often especially if it's something that you've had your whole life or you've had for a long period of time, it is actually quite, like, if somebody else doesn't do it, it is often quite hard to, like, work out your own like mental health or like learning disability situation.
Yeah, because it's all you've
like,
known.
It's the only thing you know.
Yeah, exactly. It's like the norm to you. But yeah, I guess like even if it takes two people in front of a camera to say, you know, if you feel like you are really struggling with something, whether it be, you know, like a mental illness or, you know, other disabilities, you know, saying something to someone and just like getting something checked out, even if it's just for someone to say, oh no, you're actually fine, you get like a bit of peace of mind about that kind of thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's also really good.
Yeah, like even if it's just like, I don't know, even if like you don't make it a thing now, like next time you're sick, when you see your GP, just like having a quick chat about it. Yeah. Because often people in like those kind of situations, you know.
Don't WebMD, please.
But often you're like real life counsellors, even teachers, GPs, medical professionals, people like that can often kind of like dictionary express like what you're feeling and like put a pin on it like fairly quickly quite often.
Yeah, that's a very wholesome ending to our wholesome half hour. Yeah, so this is us for this week, team.
Thanks so much for listening, watching along.
Yeah, good luck to everyone in their study week. We'll be releasing another episode in the middle of your study period next week. If you have any big ideas of what you want us to be talking about in that, feel free to let us know. I think, you know, always let us know your questions and stuff, and I know that if we got like a huge amount of questions or something like that, I know we'd probably be willing to like, you know, maybe make like an hour-long wholesome half-hour study special or something extravaganza.
Drop those in the comments below if you have any other any questions about studying, whatever comments. Starting next week, StudyTime is releasing strategy videos for all the major external exams.
As much as we can physically do. Seren is...
I'm like maxed out capacity.
Seren is like a very tired bean.
But yeah, seriously, like these are like, they're going to be like an amazing set of videos.
Yeah.
4-ish minutes per standard, all the major standards, explaining the best way to approach the exams, what you need to know, and like the best way, like
very similar to some of our ones last year, but we're going to try cover way more ground. Yeah.
Like, you should watch them.
So yeah, get ready for those ones, guys.
If you need a guide, they have. If you want a study guide, we're shipping them. We're getting them out the door fast. Overnight shipping generally. They're a really good resource. Yeah, thanks so much for listening along.
Yeah,
Look forward
awesome.
to seeing you, beautiful people, next week.
Yeah, see you guys.
Bye.